This woman had been treating him calmly ever since he met. He had imagined countless scenes, but he didn't expect you to be so calm and collected. What did this mean? It meant that his appearance means nothing to you. That's why you were so calm. But now, seeing your anger, there was also a lot of color in his cold eyes, which made him feel like he was there. You were angry, but then realized that your emotions had been disturbed by him. Immediately, you stepped on him angrily. His expression changed when you stepped on his feet with your high heels, but he didn't make any sounds, as his eyes only sizes you tightly. You smirked and raised your eyebrow. This is warning for you. Next time you won't be so lucky. You retreated your foot and turned around next time. So you were also fantasizing about the next time. You almost staggered forward. Did you fantasize? You took a deep breath and stopped, urged to glare at him. You sneered and opened the car door to get into the driver's seat. You are crazy to argue with this. Calm down. You had to put the car keys in several times before you drove out of the parking lot. After you left, he raised his hand to wipe the corner of his mouth. The pain on his cheek made his mind clear. All this time, from the moment he saw you until now, it was like a dream. In 5 years, you had disappeared just like that and suddenly appeared in front of his eyes. It was so surreal, like a dream, that he could not grasp, no matter how hard he tried. Your indifferent appearance made him feel that all of this was not real at all until today, when he grabbed your waist and pressed you against the car. He smelled the faint fragrance of your body, and when his lips fell on your face, and the slap and the pain of your heels stepping on his feet, everything suddenly became real. This woman really existed. Although you slapped, he wasn't angry, but the smile curved on his handsome face. This woman not only did she have more taste than before, but she also became more fierce. You drove the car fiercely, then came back to your senses and drove forward steadily. You couldn't help but think what happened earlier. The strong aura of a man enveloped just like that. His palm was pressed against your waist like fire. You shook your head abruptly and shook off all these messy things. You have to concentrate driving. Sokjin had already found a good school for Rowoon. It was close to your company. You even thought of staying at company, as company some floor doesn't use, but felt it was not convenient, so you planned to buy a house nearby neighborhood of Rowoon's school. You went back to the company. Jenny handed you the contact of Jungkook's, as he has booked all the projects but hasn't chosen a designer. Hearing his name, you felt that you were haunted by him. You had met him in the restaurant 2 times and on the parking lot. He almost taken advantage of you. Now, in the company, he was everywhere. Your headache, so you give responsibility for this project to communicate with other party to Jenny. He can choose any designer in your company except you, since you are the boss of this company. He returned to the company. Minho realized that there seemed to be a mark on his face, but didn't understand why there was marks on his face, like someone slapped him. Who was not afraid of death and dared to hit young Master John? What made Minho more curious was that Jungkook's face wasn't particularly gloomy. Instead, he had a feeling that he was enjoying himself. Was his perception wrong? Otherwise, why would Jungkook, who had been slapped, not only to be angry but also have a smile hidden in his eyes? Minho couldn't hold back his curiosity and went forward. Young master, what happened to your face? Jungkook seemed to have just realized what was going on when he heard Minho's voice. He stared at Minho coldly, making one's shrunk neck. Young master, is your face really okay? Do you want to buy you some medicine? Get lost. Alright, then he should not ask. After Minho rolled out, Jungkook took out his phone, wanting to make an appointment. Only then did he realize that he didn't have that woman's phone number at all, even his WeChat number. His face turned gloomy. He had to make him add again. Next time, he made up his mind. The next day, Jenny notified that they got another client and the work also increased. Teammate couldn't help but sighed. Even they had soaked in spec, they're getting good resources, one after another. Didn't the company's boss treat money as money? Team designers didn't understand how could this woman run company and get this big clients who was rich and famous. Some employees mocked, what soap power you have that? Even South's Joan Group's director came personally to take orders. They're designer and they do their own work. It's not like that. They rely on someone to be the top. They still think that their boss was kind of woman that really used some evil method to become success. Jungkook had once been Jenny's superior, that's why she was a little afraid. But after hearing that you wanted to give this project to teammate, Jenny could only called to introduce the designer to him. On the call, but he lazily responds, ask her to come to me personally. What? She thought that she had misheard that Mr. John. What? The big designer Eva wants to push such a big list to someone else? Jenny could only explain, you misunderstood, Mr. John. We are the boss of the company, so she's not a designer. She can only admit, yes, she is, but I'm free after 2 in the afternoon. Ask her to contact me. With that, he hung up, not even giving other party to say anything. What this man really wants from her. She tried to call again, but only to find out that his phone was switched off. How can he turn off his phone on someone's face? She may be helpless, but she will not gonna let him succeed his evil deeds. 2 days later, he stared at his phone, lost in thought that he didn't even realize that someone came in. Young master, someone from the company is looking for you. Is she here? His lips curled into a beautiful smile, then directly stood up, walking outside straight. Minho wondered, young master, who is it? It has nothing to do with you. He went all the way downstairs. He couldn't wait. He didn't tell person to wait into the resting room at all. She nervously waited. She didn't tell you about this matter and acted on her own to look for Jungkook. She thought that since she came here personally, he will not refuse, right? When he came rushing downstairs, he was naturally familiar with this figure. His expression suddenly darkened, coming closer. Where is she? Facing such a sharp gaze, she felt her scalp tingle. Mr. John, Ava has other things to do, so I came over to discuss with you about choosing a designer. He raised his brow. There was a touch of danger and pressure. Did I say that? Ask her to come to me personally. She hesitated, but otherwise, we will follow the procedure. Her face immediately turned pale. Mr. John, you can't do this. Sarang is now the boss of our company. Sarang? This unfamiliar name stunned him for a moment, but he reacted quickly, then asked in a low voice, Sarang, is this her current name? Very well, even person's name had been changed. Is she going to completely forget about past? His eyes turned cold. Did the contract say that she can't be chosen? Tell her to come see me in half an hour or else take responsibility for the consequences. He didn't spare her a glance anymore and left, making Jenny stern on the spot. She don't want you to face this man, but why the hell he's so hard to handle? Sitting on the office floor near the sofa, you had been seriously trying Dion's design. It's so hard, as she requested very unique one. It giving you headache, but you are not that type of person who complain. Therefore, you try your best to reconcile these things to the best of your ability and then integrate them. When you were so focused, Jenny came with her depressed face, explaining that she contacted Jungkook. She didn't want to disturb you, that's why she went. But the man didn't compromise or give her any face. He even threatened her. You didn't know what he was trying to do. If you didn't go to see him personally, it will considered a breach of contract. This man doing this on purpose. Does he still want to humiliate you? It's been long. 5 years ago, he gave you a divorce contract. No matter how much you begged, he was not willing to give you a side view. Heightened Villa and the Jones Group didn't allow you to take a step forward. Now he came to your company to make an order and asked him to serve personally. Usually, this was just a job for you, but when it comes to him, it was also a humiliation. You put down your pencil, I will go find him. Jenny was worried about you and didn't want you to go, but you have to go because this company can't afford to break the contract or go to breach. You don't want to ask your brother, you give glance to her, not to call either. This brother did everything now, you have to deal your own matter, not bothering him, Jungkook. Your eyes darkened, you wanted to see how long he wanted to humiliate you. After arriving to the Jones group, you told that you were designer to the front desk and informed her that Director John asked you to come, but the receptionist gave you some faces. She did informed before too. As a result, she saw his cold look to the girl earlier. It could be seen he was impatient. That's why when you came to informing the same, she didn't directly inform but looked at you disdainfully. You were not angry but smiled faintly. The girl didn't believe and asked you to leave. You didn't have any other choice but to call yourself. As long as it was a customer in the company, you would say a phone number, including Jungkook, so that you could be prepared. You didn't expect it to come in hand now. Not long after you called, he rejected at first, then you again made a call and he answered. You didn't beat around the bush and directly came to the point. Mr. John, I'm the designer of Moon Company Eva. I'm downstairs now, but your company is closed. Please come down. With that, you hung up. Receptionist was stunned, hearing your cold voice and the power of your voice. Who would dare to talk to young Master John like that? Had you gone mad? She couldn't believe and muttered, Are you crazy? You asked young Master John to come down? Are you daydreaming? You just looked at her indifferently. Are you crazy? Indeed, you are crazy. That was why you signed the contract with him. Otherwise, why would you appear here now? You raised your hand to watch the time. You will wait for 5 minutes. If he didn't come down, you will leave by yourself. At that time, it should not be considered a breach of contract. After all, you came personally, and the person who didn't consider it will be himself. You waited for a while, as you didn't expect that man to come so quickly. In less than 3 minutes, he actually appeared in your line of sight. Receptionist couldn't believe it, as she felt that she had offended someone that was powerful. CEO came down personally to fetch this woman. Come with me. He grabbed your wrist and walked forward. There present all employees saw this and was surprised. You didn't expect him to be so fast. Before you could react, he had already pulled you with him. After getting into the elevator, you pulled back your hand and pressed yourself against the cold elevator wall and looked at him coldly. When you did this, he suddenly felt his heart empty. The duct temperature in his hand also disappeared. You avoided his gaze and lowered your head to kept looking on the floor, but he didn't look away, this annoying man. You both maintained silence. After a while, elevator door opened. He stepped out and you followed him behind. It was as if a lifetime had passed. This place was the place you had stepped into countless times before the time you worked here. Although it was only a few months, it felt like a lifetime to you. because the day here has left an indelible memory in your heart. Familiar feelings hit it, making you realize actually you had never forgotten this place or this man in front of you for a single moment. You stopped to look around in a daze. What is it? Are you reminiscing about your past? A low and hoarse male voice suddenly came from beside your ear, startling you. You had lost in a thought that you didn't realize that the man came so close as his warm breath even sprayed on your face. You suddenly took big steps back, but unfortunately, your ankle sprained, almost falling, but your hand reflexively grabbed his tie. Both of you were stunned for a moment before you let go of his tie, letting yourself fall back. You would rather fall or hurt than attach to this man. But the waiting pain didn't come. Instead, a large hand wrapped around your waist, pulling you back, entire body crashing into his embrace. You couldn't process in the time when the man forced you to look up, holding your chin, looking somehow mad. You hate me so much you would rather fall than attach yourself to me. His cold voice make you come back to your sense. Answer me. You took time to breathe steadily. Mr. John misunderstood. I let go because I didn't want to implicate you. After all, you are my client. If you do anything good, I will lose a lot of money. But thank you, Mr. John, for saving me. You can let me go now. That dangerous look appeared in his black eyes as he stared at you coldly. What if I don't want to let you go? You didn't expect him to be so shameless, but the thought crossed your mind. And this was a kind of humiliate, and this shamelessness was nothing. You smiled. Mr. Jones, there is no way to talk about work at this situation. You should let go. Your words and disproving smile made him dissatisfaction intensify as he exerted a little force to press your body to his. Who said there was no way to talk about work? This closeness, his head was above yours, that made your face pressed to hear his heartbeat as the man's low and hoarse voice sounded like a slowly playing violin. We can talk like this. His eyes seemed to have become fanatical as he lowered his head, slightly brushing his lips on your forehead, lowering his head. You gritted your teeth and closed your eyes. This was humiliated in your heart. Mr. Jones, did I say that? He was puzzled. As you talk like that, huh? His misty eyes immediately narrowed as his expression changed. You retreated your leg and took a step back, revealing a satisfied smirk. If there is a next time, it will not be so simple. You looked at the man who was in great pain. He was hit by shadowless foot on the part of his. Even the veins on his forehead were bulging. Do you know now? His face was ugly as he suppressed himself from groaning out. This woman was really ruthless. The pain from somewhere almost made him lose his strength as he looked at you, who was standing a few steps away, looking at him with pride on his sorry state. Mr. John looks very uncomfortable. I'm afraid we won't be able to talk about work today. Why don't I come back another day? He wanted to cover the area that was hit by ruthless women, but he held back himself. You took a deep breath and looked around. What a pity. I thought I could visit the Jones office in South Korea today. Looks like I don't have a chance. I will excuse myself for now. You smirked and turned around to leave. You stood in front of the elevator after pressing the button. Finally, you will leave this place again. You just stepped in the elevator when you heard the footsteps coming from behind. You wanted to look back to see if he was coming, but the next second you felt like flying on the air. You were suddenly lifted up by him and placed on his shoulder. You screamed by this sudden action. Your expression changed drastically when you realized that you were wearing skirt. He carried you like that. Wouldn't clothes would be slide up?